Over the years, I've had to do a lot of really intentional work around learning to receive. It's not easy to receive, it's kind of vulnerable. And as someone who typically goes after what they want in a very assertive kind of way, sometimes sitting back and waiting and receiving can be really hard, or just being open and vulnerable is can be really challenging. So I remember a particular moment when I had this realization. I was at a concert and I had found this, because it was an outdoor venue, and I had found this little spot right under a stairwell where I could be up on a little step and see over the crowd and not have people walking in front of me. I was just kind of shimmied up to a pole behind. And there was this whole space right next to me that hadn't been filled in yet. And over time, as people started to trickle in before the show started, people started gathering in that area. And this girl and her boyfriend, I assume, came and stood sort of next to us in this spot. And I mean, this was a really prime spot. I was really excited to have claimed it. And so she was standing there next to us, and then suddenly they started sort of moving around, and she stepped back a bit, and then someone else came in and took the spot in front of her. And then as time went on, there was a moment in which I could tell she couldn't see as well. She was kind of frustrated. And I thought to myself, you had the spot right there. Why did you move? Why'd you give it up? You know? And somewhere this realization came to me that someone can't even give you what you're not willing to receive. And that may seem really simple and obvious, but it's true. Just think about it. Like the universe can't give you what you're not willing to receive. And I have conversations with people all the time about the places where they're stuck, where they're not getting the result they want to get and they can't quite see why. And we work through an exercise to distinguish whatever the limiting belief is that's holding them back. It's an incredibly powerful exercise. It always lasers in on some unconscious underneath the surface belief. And it's obvious to see how they could never get the result they say they want as long as that belief's in place. Right? So let's imagine that you want to take your business to the next level, but you have a belief that if it's too easy, then you must be doing something wrong. And while that might not make logical sense, somewhere inside there's a belief that if it's too easy, if what I create and I earn and my success is too easy, I haven't worked hard enough for it, then I must be doing something dirty or wrong. Well, we can consciously know that that's not necessarily true. That may or may not be true. But if that belief is in place, they'll never do the work that will give them the results they want. They'll always overcomplicate things. They'll always make things harder than they need to be, because if it's too easy, they feel like a bad person. So the universe can't give you the results that you want of the next level in your business if you're not willing to receive them because of some limiting belief that you might have in place. So learning to receive is tricky in some ways, right? We have to be receptive, we have to be willing, and in a lot of circumstances, we have to look at what we're getting, what we're seeing show up around us in our lives, the results we're getting, and if they're not what we want them to be, we have to be willing to kind of look at ourselves and say, is it just that I'm not willing to receive this? I might work really hard towards it, or think I'm working really hard towards it, and in some way be unconsciously blocking myself. Is there somewhere that I'm actually preventing myself from having what I want and I don't even realize it? Maybe you're like the girl at the concert who had the perfect spot for this amazing show, and then she totally gave it up and then complained about not being able to see. That's silly, but we do that a lot of times in our lives and we don't even realize that we're doing it. So my question for you is, What's your relationship to receiving? Are you a grateful receiver? Are you an open-hearted receiver? And if you look around at the results in your life, are you getting the things you want? And if not, could there be some unconscious belief that's stopping you and you don't even know that it's stopping you? If that's something that you can see, like, yeah, somewhere I must be limited, and you want to have a deep dive conversation about getting unstuck, I invite you to reach out to me. I'll move you through a powerful exercise. We'll get to the bottom of whatever belief is stopping you, and I'll give you some practical ways to transform that belief and start moving beyond it immediately. All right, see you next time.